for election, re-election in Michigan's 11th district. We had a redistricting process. It was on the heels of our census. Congratulations on growing, 30,000 people strong here in Oak Park. But in particular, we now have Oak Park in Michigan's 11th district, and I am running to represent Oak Park in the United States Congress, and I really cannot tell you how excited and fired up I am at that opportunity, in part because of the rich history and diversity that comprises Oak Park, but also because we will now have a cohesive Oakland County seat in the United States Congress. And the whole reason I ran for Congress in the first place was to bring our region, our slice of this country, southeastern Michigan, its fair share of federal resources. Because we know we pay on taxes, we know we work hard. I see how organized you are. Congratulations on your youth advisory council, on having a virtual pet day, and also thank you for, over the last handful of years, really being dedicated to our water systems, right? This is why getting the infrastructure deal done that I was a big part of for President Biden and in the Congress has been just paramount to our success, because you're only going to be able to do so many millages, right? You're only going to be able to work with so many resources. And when we think about giving everyone access to fresh water, when we make sure that we're not going into boil water advisories that have plagued us in Oakland County from time and time again, the flooding that strikes with now these, once a century storms hitting every other year and multiple times last year, I want to make sure that I have your back, and also have your back in terms of economic development. It is Black History Month. It's certainly a month to celebrate, to learn, to lean in, to understand intense issues from our past, to celebrate icons who surround us here in Oakland County in Michigan, but also to think about minority-owned businesses, which is why I have a piece of legislation called the IDEA Act. I served in President Obama's administration. I was in his Treasury Department working on the auto rescue. It wasn't for sale signs in front of everyone's homes, right? Back then. It was foreclosures that was hitting us. It was a downturn in our automotive sector. And when I served with President Obama, I worked on economic development, worked on the U.S. auto rescue, and worked on economic development. And my IDEA Act is a piece of legislation that will require the Department of Commerce to invest resources to give minority-owned businesses start-up capital, right? That access to venture capital that sometimes goes overlooked if you're a minority-owned business, sometimes a woman-owned business, and on. But coming through this pandemic, what did we see, right? We saw small businesses squeezed and squeezed and squeezed. We particularly saw African-American-owned businesses closing at a much higher rate. And so that is a huge priority of mine. I am really eager to work with this council on this. I am so deeply excited to be here. I'm going to stop talking because I want to listen to all of you. I'll tell you, when I come to these city council meetings, I take notes and I bring them right back to Washington, and you wouldn't believe how many dots get connected. So again, my name's Haley Stevens. Really excited to be here with all of you tonight. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. I'm actually impressed you remembered all of that. It's quite an honor and a privilege, and I want to thank you all for the leadership to the city, and especially the city manager. You know, when he came here, we definitely turned a new page and became more progressive, and really did a lot of fun stuff and cool stuff, and we're continuing to do that. But you know, I can't do my job without all the people, all the great people that work for the City of Oak Park. And I mean, our staff here is amazing. Our project planning team, our public works team, engineering, all along, you know, recreation, public safety, like every department, I think, plays a critical role in how we treat our residents and the things and services that we offer. So I can't do what I do without the people that are, you know, all here, from the top all the way down. And, you know, it's been such a pleasure to be able to work here and service the City of Oak Park. So thank you. I appreciate the recognition, and want to share it with all my coworkers for sure.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Kevin, and I want to just say a couple things about Kevin, both as a person and as an employee here at the city. So first and foremost, Kevin is, in my opinion, in my 10 years here now, is really the unsung hero of our city. Kevin has been instrumental in virtually every aspect of our city government. Let me give you a couple of highlights that a lot of people don't. One of which, and so many more details than I have time to share with you all tonight, is really just getting the city on solid financial footing. Back in 2012, when I came, the city was in some pretty dire straits, and Kevin has been instrumental in helping build a budget that, you know, now ranges between 20 and 25% general fund balance. So much of that can be attributed to him. The other thing is the building that we're sitting in. Kevin was the project lead on this building, and people are already forgetting about this, I'm noticing, but Kevin project led this building of this project, and it ended up being $1 million under budget because of Kevin's efforts. And then the other thing, and again, there's many more things, but the other thing that and ahead of schedule, actually. And the other thing is, we were, that I know of, the first city in Michigan to remediate and remove all lead water lines in the city. And Kevin spearheaded that effort too, so that we now have a drinking water system here in our city that does not have any, that contains no lead lines. And it's an unprecedented thing, and very few communities now, even after the fact, can share that distinction. Kevin, in so many other ways, leading, you know, everything from our water and sewer, our streets, our city hall project, our day-to-day activities with our staff. Now, I will also tell you that Kevin is retiring this year, and even though, go figure. Kevin, up until this year, I would have been reluctant to celebrate him the way that we are tonight, but I'd like to ask all of you that give me join me in giving Kevin a hand for his years of service and all the great things that he's done here at the city.
Thank you. Thank you. Again, I greatly appreciate it.
You know, and you
Come
know
up.
we have to do a picture with you.
Photo op.
Photo op, right.
And if you don't attempt to replace Amy, I'm gonna stand next to one of my mentor, one of my best friends. This is gonna be a missing link here.
All right, here we go. Just smiles. Just smiles in. Here we go. More. More.
Hope she gets jealous. Well deserved.
I know it, it will not be the same. Oh, then sound. We have a dog park presentation. And City Manager Tungate, will you introduce this?
Yes, I will, Madam Mayor, thank you. I would like to turn it over to our Recreation Director, Lori Stasiak, at the podium.
Thank you, Eric. Wow, I just have to say, that's such to follow Kevin, and I just want to wish you congratulations, and such a deserving staff member. I wish you well, thank you. Okay, good evening to Mayor Pro Tem, City Council, City Manager Tungate. Members of our Dog Park Committee and I wanted to give you an update on the hard work that has gone into the development of our dog park. First of all, just a quick definition. What is a dog park? A dog park is a public park for dogs to exercise, run, and play, off-leash in a controlled environment, under the supervision of their owners. It allows dogs to socialize with other dogs in a safe place. And dog parks are for people too. The value of a dog park goes far beyond the actual name dog park. It provides a safe, fenced-in area to let our dogs run, socialize, and play, unleashed and legally. It assists in meeting some of the needs of the dog owners in our city. Many dog owners work throughout the day, and this gives them a chance to, after work, a chance for their dogs to play and socialize. It helps to prevent off-leash dogs from running loose and entering other personal space and property. It promotes responsible pet ownership by enforcement of dog-controlled laws, licensing, current vaccinations, and making for safe and healthier neighborhoods. All the dogs that go to the dog park would be current on all of their vaccinations as well as their dog license. It offers a great outdoor family activity and encourages active lifestyle. It increases the value and quality of life within a community. And according to veterinarians, a socialized and exercised dog makes a better neighbor, barks less, and is friendlier. Just to give you a little history and background into our decision to develop a dog park. Back in 2017, when we were creating the 2018 to 22 Parks and Recreation Master Plan, 61% of the survey respondents said a dog park was a priority. 30% of the city's 2020 Master Plan survey respondents wanted a dog park added. The City of Oak Park then added this project to the capital improvement project list in 2019 to be completed in the budget year 2023-24. But as recently as last year, 2021, this park project was reprioritized to be completed this year in 2021-22. A dog park subcommittee was formed in November and December of 2020 as a result of many discussions in our Parks and Recreation Commission meetings. The dog park committee was then started, and it started to meet monthly last January of 2021, over a year ago. Right now, I would like to introduce to you Andrew Sissel, who is the chair of a dog park committee.
Good evening, City Council and members. My name is Andrew Sissel. I'm the chairperson for the Dog Park Committee. I'm also the vice chair for the Parks and Rec Commission as well. We have a couple other members of our committee here. We have Leslie Herlick Ritchie and Mark Phillips, who are my vice chairs for the Dog Park Committee. We also have Sarah Allen, who's the secretary. We have Teresa Laura Henderson, who's also on the Parks and Rec Commission with me as well. And then we have Dana Jaffe. We also have Councilwoman Julie Edgar, who's been our liaison in the Parks and Rec Commission as well as the Dog Park Committee. We have Tony Christophel, who's the Animal Control Officer. Dave DeCoster's been working with us as well, Deputy Director of Public Works. And then obviously we have Director Stasiak also. During our meetings, we've developed quite a bit of a strategy so that we could promote safety above all. So the committee performed outreach, gathered information on other dog park locations throughout the county, and also spoke to professionals as well as compiled responses from the survey sent to the Oak Park residents. We visit other community dog parks to gain insight and best practices. So one of our homework projects was to go around to the other cities. We went to Royal Oak, Madison Heights, Ferndale, as well as Hazel Park too. Members from the Royal Oak Dog Park Committee shared their experiences and expertise. So they came to one of our meetings, it was during the Zoom era, and they gave us a presentation and much information for us as we moved forward. Two animal trainers and behaviorists also shared their expertise. So they came to a subsequent meeting and also just gave us a bunch of information, information on behavior, mostly pertaining to the safety of the dog park, how dogs interact with each other. So it was very informative as well. Members attended a dog park webinar given by K9 to 5 for the new Ferndale Dog Park users. So they have a training that they do for the Ferndale Dog Park, and we thought it was very advantageous for us to go to one of their trainings to see, how they did it. And it was very well done, and obviously here in Oak Park we'll want to do some type of training program for new applicants as well. 300 dog park town hall direct mail invites within 300 feet of the dog park. So we wanted to make sure that we reached out to all the people that were living close by. We didn't want any discrepancies or any complaints around in the area. So we wanted to touch those houses that were right nearby. Also, social media posts that reached more than 2,000 people. So a lot of our members, as well as the city, has been very active on Facebook, just letting the word spread, and a lot of our citizens are very aware of this, and I think there's a little bit of a buzz in the community right now. We also had a town hall at the proposed site of Lessinger Park, held August 2021. So that was just another outreach to the citizens, to the city, to the nearby neighbors. We all invited them to the proposed site, Lessinger, and it was very informative on both ends. We saw a lot of what the citizens wanted, and we also informed them on what our plans were. So it's just a process that's still growing and building, but that was also one of the steps.
The committee went through a thorough review of possible locations in the city, and they landed on Lessinger Park. Lessinger Park is located near the industrial end of Oak Park. Two sides of the park are industrial, and one side to the far west is an Oak Park school building. The park is 162 feet away from the nearest residential backyard, and it is an underutilized park. Lessinger has a lot of open space, and currently at the park, a lot of dog owners use that space for exercise and to walk their dogs.
So a little bit more about our community dog park strategy. The committee identified several required elements for a safe, above all safe, and welcoming dog park. So we have, we're doing research on 6-foot-high fencing, a double-gated entry transition area, which is kind of like a middle area, so large dogs or small dogs, they all may go into the transition area, but then they go into their respective areas for the size after that. Information, signage, and rules, clean up bag stations, obviously for the dog waste, covered trash cans, water sources for dogs as well as humans. We also had consideration for separate dog areas, which I was just kind of explaining. So we'll have a large dog area, we'll have a small dog area, and then we'll also are proposing to have a yellow ribbon dog area. That's for dogs that are shy or maybe not as social, that kind of want to be more secluded and alone. Also, benches and play amenities as well as lighting. All dog owners will follow ordinances and rules, maintaining current dog licenses, vaccinations, and adhere to park hours of operation. Owners must attend a short but mandatory course in dog park etiquette and rules. And that was what the K9 to 5 presentation was about the dog, about the etiquette of the dogs. We also would like to install a security system with fob entry, paid membership and registration form and waiver. And that's just to prevent anybody that's not signed up or registered with the city, preventing them from going in, or people that haven't paid for usage of this dog park. At this point, we'd like to open it up for any questions or comments from council.
I am just so impressed with how professionally this was done, and commend the committee and the director and the chair for the amazing job. You hit everything, everybody's concerns, and I find it amazing and delightful that we came out ahead of schedule. Unheard of in government, right?
Yeah. Well, and I would just like to thank, all the people that I work with on the Parks and Rec Commission, the Dog Park Commission. I was just talking with Mickey, and I feel that you guys kind of helped push this forward because you saw how much, we were working on this and how willing we were. And it's just a great, this is democracy at its finest. You have the citizen initiatives and working with the city. It was a pleasure to be a part of this.
Wonderful. Any comments or questions from council members?
I think it's great work,
Great.
really great work, very exciting.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
just wanted to recognize all the members of the Dog Park Committee here tonight. It's been a real pleasure to serve with you. I'm amazed at your commitment and ideas. We've done so much good work over the year. I'm so excited about this, and I think it's just going to do wonders for the neighborhood. And as Director Stasiak pointed out, one of the benefits is to sort of improve the surrounding areas, and I think our park is going to do that. I think we're going to bring some good traffic there. It's a good way for people to get socialized themselves, right, along with their dogs. So thank you for your leadership.
What was the most interesting thing you learned about dogs?
Me personally? I don't know. I've owned dogs my whole life, so I feel like I've seen quite a bit. I feel like a lot of the interesting stuff will probably come as soon as the dog park starts. But one thing, I just thought it was interesting that just as far as safety is concerned, because that's our biggest thing, is we want it to be a safe place, is that the dogs, they fight a lot going into the park. It's not so much while they're in there, and that was one of the trainings that we saw. And so I'll have to get back to you about interesting, but just as far as safety goes, we've really learned a lot about dog behavior and the protocols to take. So,
Nice.
yeah, I guess that's the interesting thing.
That is wonderful. I'm thrilled that you're all here, and I'm so grateful to you for volunteering your time. The city would not be the same without your willingness to volunteer for nothing, to do something that will help you and your neighbors and other residents of the city make this a better place. And I think ever since I've started as mayor, people have been asking me about a dog park. And that you made it come true. Thank you. Thank you. It's not, we don't keep from paying you because you're worthless. It's because you are priceless. So. Wow. I guess one question would be, when do they expect shovel-ready? When is this actually going to open? Do you?
Yeah, right now, we're putting the fence and the security system out to bid. So those should be coming back at the beginning of March. Then they go to approval through city council. And then hopefully, anywhere between mid-April, depending on the weather, of course, mid-April through the end of May, depending on their construction schedule as well as the weather.
And I don't know if there's funding for this, but I always like landscaping around everything. Is that a possibility?
We'll see. We have 150,000.
Got it. I just think it brings a lot of joy. Please.
I didn't tell her to say that, just for the record.
No,
She's right.
yeah. When you look at what the landscaping is doing for the park on 9 Mile Road, I mean, it's really wonderful now, but the plans for the landscaping are out of this world. They have a wonderful vendor who is putting in plants that can live through city environment with salt being thrown on them and that kind of thing, so they're sturdy. He's got them so there's color all 4 seasons. And then the fun thing, in the summer, he's got it planned so there's a rainbow starting on the west and going toward the east. A rainbow of colors of the flowers. So I think that landscaping brings a lot of joy and a sense of pride. So proud of you. Hope you stay active in the city. We have plenty of other things for you to volunteer for. We're not letting you go so easily. So we've got your number. True?
We're not done yet.
Okay, good. All right. Moving on. Item 11 on the agenda is accounting reports. Approval for payment of invoices submitted by Garen Luco Miller for legal services in the total amount of $12,103.84. We need a motion from the council.
So moved.
Thank you. Councilmember Burns, second.
Second.
Thank you. Councilmember Radner. Discussion? Councilmember Radner usually says, always pay your lawyer. Because.
One person you don't want to mess over.
So, City Clerk, Ed Norris.
Councilmember Burns,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Edgar,
Yes.
Mayor McCollum,
Yes.
Councilmember Radner,
Yes.
Councilmember Blight.
Yes.
Okay, overwhelmingly approved. Item 13, second reading and adoption of an ordinance to amend Chapter 14, Animals, Article 1 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Oak Park, Michigan, by amending Section 14.7 thereof. The amendment removes the reference to the one-year pilot program and allows for the keeping of domestic chickens. I need a motion and a second for this second reading.
So moved.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Edgar, is there a second?
Carolyn wants to second it.
No.
I'll second it.
Okay, all right. Opinions ran high on chickens. I think originally we always think of them as a farm animal, but lately, cities that you wouldn't think of, like Birmingham and Huntington Woods, Ferndale, have allowed people to raise a small number of chickens, not roosters, so you don't have crowing, in a contained area, so you don't have birds flying around, very carefully maintained so that there isn't a problem with rodents. And we've had a pilot program. Can someone speak to that, how the pilot has gone?
Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to have Director Barrett come up to the podium, but I'd like to also say a couple of things. Council members, I don't know of a single issue that we've had while we've been in this pilot program. No
Good evening,
issues,
Mayor and
okay.
Council, and City Manager Tungate is correct. We don't have any problems with this. We had a lot of concerns and everything with any time we're exploring anything new, but believe it or not, we only have 2 permit holders, maybe 3, and they're all in compliant and take care of their chicken pens.
And they had to ask the immediate neighbors for permission
They have
first.
always consent from their immediate neighbors, and they get 2 initial inspections and then 1 as annual review.
And this is, and I don't know, have any of those 2 or 3 asked for more chickens? No.
No.
Because I think Ferndale allows between 3 and 6, and ours is 3, but if they're not asking for more, then we don't need to give them more.
Nobody's asking.
Okay, all
All the
right.
neighbors, do the neighbors want chickens now?
No, the
Well-
neighbors want the eggs.
I know, but if the neighbors want chickens, that's how you know it's really going well.
Yeah, right.
So
Right.
they have consent from their neighbors to have it installed, and we haven't had any complaints, so
It's amazing.
that's usually a good sign of not having any blight when you're not getting any complaints.
Right. It's a lot of work, and it's a high price per egg. You know, when you finish paying for everything that you have to pay for, you're doing it because of the quality of the food, and the purity and all of that. So the people who are into it are really putting in a lot of work and money, and if you live next to them, hopefully they give you some eggs. We're ready for a vote. Roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Edgar.
Yes.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes.
Councilmember Radner.
Yes.
Councilmember Whitehead.
Yes.
Councilmember Burns.
No.
Okay, 4 to 1, we have motion carried. Thank you. Second, item B, second reading and adoption of an ordinance to amend Chapter 38 Environment, Article 3, Division 2 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Oak Park, Michigan, by amending Section 3872 thereof. The amendment allows for the use of the Ringelmann smoke chart as published by the United States Geological Survey for smoke measurement to ensure consistency with provisions of the zoning ordinance. So first, we need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem Edgar, and second, Solomon Redder. Thank you. I wonder if someone, would it be Director Barrett again? I know we've talked about this, but again, what were we using before, and how is this better?
Well, what we're using before is a system called an Amberscope, which was very technical that we couldn't measure, and it measured candlelight power of smoke, and this is a more acceptable standard. It's not outdated like the Amber smoke standard measurement is, and this is referenced quite often in our zoning codes for our industrial smoke levels and so forth. So we're just bringing this into our residential code, and it's a much simpler mechanism where it's like maybe a kaleidoscope with different shades of gray, and depending on what the standard is, you could see the consistency for 10 minutes straight and determine if that's too dense of a smoke. So it's moving forward and a much simpler mechanism to use.
Okay, I appreciate that. Any questions for Director Barrett? Okay, any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes.
Councilmember Radner.
Yes.
Councilmember Whitehead.
Yes.
Councilmember Burns.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Edgar.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. First reading, item C, proposed text amendments to the City of Oak Park zoning ordinance in the following sections. Cleaning up language and things, so there are a lot of them. Article 1, Division 2, Article 2, Division 2, Article 2, Division 3, Article 3, Division 1, Article 3, Division 2, Article 4, Division 1, Article 4, Division 3, Article 4, Division 4, Article 5, Division 3, Article 5, Division 4, Article 6, Division 1, Article 6, Division 2. The proposed zoning amendments pertain to a variety of improvements that incorporate clarifications, additions, and/or deletions to specific sections of the ordinance. Do we have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Thank you. Councilmember Burns, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Councilmember Whitehead. I'm wondering if we got the Sukkot language, Sukkahs and Sukkot language down? Yes, we did. Okay, good. That was a lot of it was just, if Director Kim Maroney, if you'd come up and just review again, generally cleaning up the language, cleaning up the wording, and what the numerous changes in red are that city council members read in their packet.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So as the mayor already referenced, we had adopted these new ordinances back last May, and since then, we've been able to use them in practice, per se. So we found a few minor issues, whether spelling errors, also punctuation errors we found in there, numbering errors, we corrected those. Then also with our code enforcement department, they found some issues in enforcing some of the things we had enforced in the past, that maybe the language wasn't written the best way possible in order for them to continue doing their job the way they need to, as well as some changes we needed to make in regards to zoning, just simple things that were in our old ordinance that needed to be brought forward that were missed. So we're going to continue coming to council and the planning commission every quarter with changes. We knew we wouldn't get it right the very first time, so a lot of times you have to use it in practice in order to perfect it. So that's what we're doing now.
Just when I started, there were no changes, and there were no changes to the master plan that was started in 1955 or something. And so the amount of work that this group has gone through has been just astounding. It's that kind of behind-the-scenes stuff that nobody ever sees, but makes everything run smoother and gives us a way to get into the future. So, any other questions about this one? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Councilmember Radner.
Yes.
Councilmember Whitehead.
Yes.
Councilmember Burns.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Edgar.
Yes.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes, passes unanimously. We don't have anything from the city attorney. Item 15 is City Manager Eric Tungate.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of council. I'd like to start with a COVID-19 update, my favorite topic. Couple of things. In the time since we last discussed this issue, the state has made a recommendation to remove the mask mandate effective tomorrow, effective actually immediately, I should say. I am asking the city council to adopt the same standard. I also would like to let the public know that if you would like to wear a mask, you certainly can. The city has about 4,000 N95 masks that are available here at city facilities, including they'll be available at Recreation, City Hall, the library, and at Public Safety. As far as staff is concerned, if you have questions, council members, I'd be happy to answer them. But I am asking you to adopt this standard in compliance with the state recommendation.
Okay, you want to vote on that then?
Yes.
So this is a vote to adopt the State Health Department recommendations, removing the mask mandate, making it optional for whoever wants to wear a mask. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion or questions? I know that there are new variants coming. There are concerns about if you 10 to 30% of the people who get COVID get that long-term chronic illness syndrome that is devastating. And if you are, or someone in your family is immune suppressed or anything like that, you should probably continue to wear a mask even though it's not required. We've been through a difficult time. I remember back to, March 2020, where I went to visit my grandchildren, and we were on different sides of the window holding up our hands and touching through the glass because we could not be in the same room. So even though we feel like we're still fighting, trudging through this long slog, we have come a long way. And we should be proud of our determination and grit. So we are ready to vote.
Madam Mayor, just one question.
Yes.
City Manager, is that due to decline in numbers, the state's recommendation? Just want to confirm that.
It's due to both the decline in numbers and the vaccination rates in our local community and across the state, as a matter of fact.
Thank you.
Do we have numbers for Oak Park's vaccination rate?
I can find those if you like.
Okay. The city elected officials get daily updates from Beaumont Hospital with graphs of where the first flare, and then the second flare, and the third, and this last one was higher than the third as far as hospitalizations and people being very sick. It's starting to come down very quickly, and we hope that that continues, and our policies will react to what the environment has for us. We've been through this, we've gotten through this together, and I'm proud of us, actually, for rising to the challenge. Do we just need a voice vote? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously, so we are not required to wear a mask. We are, I know you understand, required to meet back in person. We had fun on Zoom, actually, not going out in the snow and all of that, but there are advantages to meeting in person, the talking that you do before and after the meeting, and other things that it's good to be back with live humans.
Okay, thank you, council members. 15B is our annual budget calendar. Council members, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have. As you know, every year we bring the budget calendar in front of you for your approval to formally adopt the budget timeline. And yes, I can't believe it, but we're entering back into budget mode soon.
Is there a motion to adopt the budget calendar?
So moved.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Councilmember Burns. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you.
Okay, 15C, I'd like to ask Deputy City Manager Crystal Van Vleck, please join me at the podium.
All right, good evening, Mayor, City Council, City Manager. I am happy to come in front of you tonight and deliver our first end of the year strategic plan report. So, as I'm sure you remember vividly, you guys workshopped pretty reluctantly for a while on an update to the city's 5-year strategic plan. We had a little bit of a hiccup there with COVID. But you guys put it into place January of last year. And so from there, the city administration created an action plan, and that guides the staff over the next 5 years in achieving the city's established goals and objectives. It's broken down into actionable items with a time frame for completion, and it identifies the departments responsible for ensuring their completion. The quarterly reports that have been delivered this year have provided a highlight of the activities that the city has carried out in the previous 3 months in an effort to work toward our established objectives. For this end-of-year report, which is reflective of the 2021 calendar year, it's important to highlight that we've made significant progress in meeting those objectives, which all tie back to the goals that you have established and ultimately our mission and vision statements for the City of Oak Park. So in the packet, you should have the full, complete report. There's quite a bit of information in there. I'm just going to highlight a few things for tonight for the presentation, but if you guys want to pull anything out and have any questions, we can entertain those also.
Let me just interrupt for
Yeah.
1 minute. I'm sure we've all been in groups where there's been a strategic plan that you spend time developing and that sits in a binder on your shelf gathering dust. Does that sound familiar for anybody's work life? This is not that. This is a working, living document. This is incredible. You are in charge of this, and this is your time frame report back. So this guides every day, every action. It is so impressive. It is how to run city government.
Thank you, Mayor. And in fact, the action plan itself, like you said, is a living, breathing document. We are actually making some adjustments to it. City manager and I have been meeting to make adjustments to that action plan, because as we achieve some of the things, some of the very specific action items to meet your guys' objectives and goals, then we need to come up with new action items to continue to get to that goal, right? So we're actually working internally to update that plan as we speak. One of our goals is to deepen the sense of place and community identity. One of the objectives underneath that is to attract and retain a mixture of robust businesses into the city. As I'm sure you are all aware, our Economic Development Department, led by Kim Maroney, has been very active over the last year. 22 new businesses have been added to the city this year. These include breweries and restaurants in the Oak Park Water Tower Social District, several new businesses in the Industrial District, and a variety of new businesses throughout the city's commercial corridors. The city is also actively involved with the new chamber. And then in addition to that, the Economic Development Department is continuing to be a helpful and invaluable resource to our local businesses. They work diligently to promote educational workshops and host their own workshops. Some of those this year included the city hosted Oakland County's Small Business Association workshop. They hosted a webinar and open house for Oak Park small businesses, hosted an urban Maine all-day training and discussion with local businesses. They are working on a workshop for businesses that will help them to create an online presence, which I think we all know is important, especially in today's environment. And in addition to that, the library consistently offers online courses in a variety of business and entrepreneurial topics, and also wants to make sure that the community is aware that they are a resource for small businesses and entrepreneurs in the community as well. In addition to that, one of the other objectives we've been meeting is to encourage a mixture of robust development throughout the city. So that was just highlighted in some of the zoning amendments you guys were just speaking about. As you know, you adopted a substantial revision of the zoning ordinance in June. This revision addressed many necessary changes to the ordinance that allow for more robust development, including the option for shared parking and rear parking in commercial districts. 2 new districts were created in the Industrial District, Mixed Use 2 and Industrial Flex, to allow for mixed uses, and realtors have been contacted to make sure that they know about these expanded uses. Another thing I'd like to highlight is the objective to combat blight issues in residential neighborhoods. The Recycling and Environmental Conservation Commission hosted a citywide cleanup day Sunday, September 12th, 2001. In addition to that, code enforcement has been working diligently in focusing enforcement in key areas of the city and helping residents to understand the city's ordinances. So there was a magazine article about it. They created a one-pager to make sure that residents really understand some of the key or common ordinance violations that take place so that they can get ahead of those. In addition to that, another objective I think we're all really proud of is preserving and increasing the city's tree canopy. So the city planted 86 trees in fiscal year 2021 and 30 trees this calendar year through November through just our normal tree planting program. Yeah. 86 in fiscal year 2021, and then another 30 this calendar year through, in this fiscal year through November. In addition to that, the city planted 15 trees in Lessinger Park through a grant from Relief, Michigan. In addition to that, the city applied for and was awarded the Oakland County Oak Stem Pilot Tree Grant, which assists in the cost of purchasing approximately 85 trees to be planted throughout the community. And it's open for requests from residents. I'm sure you guys have seen that on our website, through our social media, that residents can request a tree to be planted. And then in addition to that, the city was awarded the Tree City USA designation and the Tree City Growth Award again this year. Another objective is to celebrate Oak Park's diversity through events.
Side comment, we, when I started, we didn't win one grant, and now we are just lousy with them in the best possible way.
Yes, thank you. I think you're right. Another objective that we've been working towards is to celebrate Oak Park's diversity through events and programs that attract people throughout the region. Obviously, we're working in some different times right now, but even so, in the midst of the pandemic, we added events and programs, including the Juneteenth celebration, which I think Councilmember Whitehead can really be applauded for that effort. Autumn Fest this past year, as well as a new film festival to the city, which was done through our Arts and Cultural Diversity Commission, and I think was really successful in its first year and will continue to grow. In addition to that, our farmers market had a wonderfully successful year. Thank you to Director Stasiak and her team. It has offered, during the farmers market, we've offered an array of programs for all ages, host events, and a variety of vendors. And in addition to that, I think this is really important, paid out a total of $13,495 in food assistance. So, Director Stasiak and her team did a great job in making sure that, in growing the program so that it could accept benefits, which I think is really important. In addition to this, our new communications director has done a wonderful job of promoting these events. We promote early and often, including weekly ads in the Woodward Talk, newspaper of the Farmers Market and of Autumn Fest, regular updates to the website, social media, the reader board and flyers, and regular outreach to local media. Investing in public art experiences is another objective we've been working towards. As you know, 4 pieces of public art are being incorporated into the 9 Mile Linear Park. So you'll see those in the spring. Those will go up around the same time that the landscaping is installed. In addition to that, providing programming, another objective, providing programming that responds to the needs of all demographics of the community. It's important to highlight that the city, really led by the Recreation Department as well as our library, met consistently throughout the year with the Oak Park High School leadership to discuss youth programming and engagement partnerships. Out of this came the History of Hip Hop program that was hosted by Oak Park Recreation in partnership with the library and the school district. The Recreation and the library is hosting drop-in esports nights at the Oak Park High School. The Recreation Department implemented a teen council this year. The library started a toddler pre-K school readiness story time in the fall. The library is also hiring a teen programming assistant to assist in planning and implementation of teen after-school programming. The library is also implementing senior housing outreach, and the Recreation Department received a grant this year for an archery program for all ages. So those are just some of the highlights for the ways in which we are really looking at the community and trying to fill the gaps of programming and events that are needed for everyone. Fostering interaction and a sense of ownership at the city's public spaces. Excuse me. We're working to ensure, and this one's for the mayor, we're working to ensure that all public spaces have adequate seating and shade, so we've made this a top priority. As you may have noticed, shade sales were added this year to Seneca Pocket Park, so that's a perfect example of something that it was put in, trees were put in, but they're not mature yet. We sat down there ourselves, realized there was way too much sunlight, it just was not comfortable, that we needed some shade, so we put some shade sails in there. And then the linear park, that has been a priority in the landscaping that we've been working with the landscape architect, is that anywhere there is a bench, there is shade. And we will continue to make that a priority as we work with the Smith Group, the consultants that we are working with for our recreation master plan update. That'll be a continued priority. Another objective in that same note is to identify the best uses for city property to ensure equitable access to quality public spaces. The Dog Park Committee and the wonderful work that they've done is one thing to highlight there. And I don't have to say any more because you just got a wonderful presentation. In addition to that, just to reiterate, the city has finalized a contract with Smith Group to guide us through a comprehensive recreation master plan update and an asset study that will create a 10-year vision for parks and recreation in Oak Park. So we're starting that process. That's kicking off now. Much more to come. There will be a plethora of public engagement throughout the entire process. It's something that we want to make sure we're hearing from the residents.
They will present to city council?
Yes. Yep. There will be a presentation here shortly, actually.
And like at the next meeting?
Not the next meeting, but we are looking at the end of March.
Terrific.
I think the end of March. We just had our first meeting with them, with our first internal planning meeting with them last week. And they presented to the Recreation Advisory Commission at their meeting last week.
The council is videoed so that people who can't make it to the meeting or they can see the presentation. So
Yes. And we'll be sure this process again will be, it will be heavily public engagement involved. So we'll be very transparent about the plans that are produced. Just a couple of things as we're working with them and they're creating concept designs, that there will be a lot of online engagement and in-person engagement where residents can actually say what they like about a design, what they don't like, what they want to see, what they don't want to see. So more to come on that. It'll be about a 9-month process. Another objective that we've been working diligently towards is to ensure effective, meaningful communication with the community. So again, kudos to our she's not really new anymore, but our communications director, Courtney Flynn. We've expanded our emergency text list to about 8,500 residents, adding additional recipients via constant contact as well. Utilizing the website, social media, and e-blast to ensure that residents have pertinent information about rain events, power outages, street sweeping, snow emergencies, new projects, and then also ongoing informational campaigns like bike lanes and back-end angled parking. So those are things that that she's ensuring that we're continuously reaching out to the community and providing that information. She is working right now on updating and redesigning the city website, so a new fresh website will be to come. And then our magazine is back. Our quarterly magazine is back and chocked full of important information and she puts a lot of time and effort into what we're putting out to the community, what the community really needs to know, if there's gaps in information. So there's a lot of thought put into the content of that magazine. Another goal, cultivate organizational excellence. One of those objectives is to provide high-quality, friendly, responsive customer service. So this was something you guys said was important. The city manager took that and said, you know what, he created a new position. And you guys are all familiar with it now, but our resident services coordinator, he is now not really new also. He kind of hit the ground running. He's been shadowing departments, so he has a good understanding of the ins and outs, just enough to know and answer questions and help people walk through the issues that they have. And him and I are working diligently on updating our citizen request management system. So when that is updated, there will be a presentation, council, to you guys on how to use it and how it's beneficial to the community, and then we will roll that out to the community as well so that they understand that that's a tool for them to find answers, to report issues, and also complaints. Goal 4 is to provide efficient, resilient government. As I think it was at the last meeting when city manager read off some of the important highlights of the audit, I'll just echo some of those again. Maintaining our financial reserves. The city continues to maintain a 20% or over fund balance in the general fund. One of the objectives is to improve the city's bond rating. One of the ways that we can do that is to increase our pension funding. So, city manager, tell me if I'm wrong, but we improved our public safety pension funding to 68% funded and our general system to 55% funded. So that's a pretty pretty big leap, and for us, that means we're working our way towards hopefully improving our bond rating, which opens a lot of doors and a lot of different financing options for us in the future. And then, Mayor, as you mentioned earlier, one of the objectives is to secure grants to help fund city projects and capital expenses. So money is always, we have wonderful, a lot of ideas, but money is always the issue, right? We don't have a tree behind City Hall that's just dropping dollar bills. So we're looking everywhere we can for funding. We had a wonderful patronicity campaign this past year. It raised over $100,000 for the linear park. So this included private donations and a $50,000 match from the MEDC. So that money is directly helping fund the public art, the landscaping that you'll see, the amenities that are out there. In addition to that, the city received a $50,000 grant also for the linear park from the Community Foundation of Southeast Michigan through the Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Fund. We've secured $1 million in grant funding to resurface 9 Mile in fiscal year '22. We secured $69,000 through an Oakland County grant for stamped crosswalks on Coolidge, so to improve those crosswalks that are out there. Secured a $436,000 drinking water asset management grant from Eagle. The library secured $6,400 grant from the Michigan Humanities Council for teen cultural education, so that hip-hop class I was talking about earlier is funded through that. And the library also secured $7,000 in ARPA funds for technology in the library for public use through the library network. So those are just a few. And I can tell you we're only 2 months into this calendar year, and we already have several grants in the hopper that we're waiting to hear on or we're working on right now. So hopefully more to come. Hopefully in the next quarterly report, I have much more grant money to report to you. And I'll just try to wrap this up for you guys because I don't want to bore anybody. Goal 5 was to ensure a safe and comfortable environment for everyone. One of those objectives is to provide high quality, one of those objectives is to sustain and expand a safe and comprehensive transportation network for all users. So this means a couple of things, but one of the highlights, public safety deploys 2 speed trailers a day. So I don't know if you guys ever see those out there. That is in response to them either hearing about or seeing themselves that there are areas where there are problem areas. They put the speed trailer out there, and then they follow up with selective enforcement. So they have a whole system and strategy behind where they're putting those trailers and helping to calm traffic down. In addition to that, the city uses the PASER rating system to strategically invest annually in the city's street network. Just a few things this year. Road reconstruction projects in this fiscal year include North End from Coolidge to Whitmore. There's a road reconstruction project in 22-23, which is Northfield Church to Gardner. We annually do a joint and crack sealing program, which is maintenance, which helps us to, this is not my forte, so I won't give too much. I won't try to speak too much, but which helps us to keep the road up in the meantime, and hopefully keep it from really falling apart. Annual concrete repair and replacement program. And we put $500,000 into that this year and $400,000 next year. So just to note that there's quite a bit of investment that goes into the roads. If we had that tree of money, we could put a lot more in, but we try to do it as strategically as possible. And then reaching 100% of lead-free in all city and private water lines. City manager spoke about that earlier, but it's definitely something I think that's worth highlighting. And that's all of the things you can read the report if you have any questions. Feel free to reach out to us.
Extremely impressive. Unbelievable.
I just get to report on it. It's everyone.
All the good news, all
Yes.
the good news. And thanks to City Manager Tungate and his team who made this happen for us, turned the city around. Turned it around. It was going down and it is going up, and thanks to all of you. Wow.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can I just use this opportunity to thank Deputy City Manager Crystal Van Vleck for doing our strategic plan, almost single-handedly this time, but of course the reporting is just immaculate.
You're welcome. In the future, I hope to have a presentation with some fun infographics, so it's not so dry.
And this will be online.
Yes.
Well, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. 15D, you can actually stay right there. Crystal, request to approve a shared micro-mobility pilot program, RFP.
Yes, hello again, council, mayor, city manager. So, this is a good lead off. As one of city council's objectives in the strategic plan is to offer affordable mobility options, staff has been exploring ways to expand mobility options within the community. As you may know, shared e-scooters are a popular form of micro-mobility. It's a term that's used out there in other communities, and it may be an option for expanding affordable mobility options in ours. After researching how other communities have approached shared e-scooter programs and considering what has worked and what has not, we believe that a shared e-scooter pilot program is the best way to determine whether they're a good fit for the City of Oak Park. We're recommending a pilot program of 12 to 18 months so that we may evaluate the impact of e-scooters in the community throughout the year. Further, we are recommending say that? So it's shared in the sense that like the Mogo bikes are shared. So it's not your private scooter. It's something that you rent for a small period of time, very similar to the Mogo business plan. So furthermore, we're recommending a request for proposals inviting e-scooter companies to submit proposals to participate in the city's pilot program. Throughout this process, we will consistently engage residents. Public outreach will begin with a survey that will be available to the community when we release the RFP, and we will host an informational open house in early April, if this is approved, so that we may gather public concerns and feedback to guide the terms of the pilot program agreement. During the pilot program, the city will continue to engage the public throughout to evaluate the impact that the e-scooters are having on the community. City attorneys have reviewed and approved the attached request for proposals. And also, just to note, the city attorneys are also working on and will be bringing forth ordinance changes to reflect the use of e-scooters in the communities. These ordinance changes will apply to both the use of private and shared scooters, because whether or not we were to do a program like this, private scooters, we're finding electric scooters are kind of, people are purchasing them themselves and riding them around. So we've found that there's some amendments that need to be made on our ordinances either way. It is recommended that council approve the attached shared micromobility e-scooter pilot program request for proposals.
We need a motion first to approve the pilot program.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Questions, starting with, I don't think I've ever seen a request for proposal that was that detailed, covering 9 million questions that you might ever even think about thinking of. I was interested in the solar. Is that actually a possibility, solar?
It's something we're asking because, so actually, some of the Mogo stations you might notice actually have solar panels on them. So it is something that's out there. A lot of what you'll find in the RFP is us asking the companies who would respond to it to tell us what they have to offer, including solar.
People are concerned about bikes laying around. Can you speak to that?
Yes, so one of the questions in there, actually there are several questions that speak to that. We ask them, you'll see this a lot in the RFP, we're asking them how they handle certain situations. So what we've seen in other communities, what's become basically the normal practice now is before you park as a user, when you rent the scooter out, it's attached to, you have a credit card, it's attached to a profile, and they charge you by the minute or by the 5 minutes or whatnot. When you park the bike, you actually have to take a photo of where you're leaving it, which is what's used to hold the user accountable. But then on the back end, there's actually an agreement, or what we found in other communities, there's an agreement with the provider. So whether it's, I don't know, Lime or Bird or Spin or whoever it is, on their end, they actually are being held accountable. So they have a certain amount of time that they have to move that scooter if it hasn't been parked appropriately. One of the other things that we're looking at that you may have seen in there are designated parking areas. So we've found that that's more common in areas like where people are tending to leave scooters more than, so the community center I think would be a good example. Places where we assume that there are going to be a large gathering of scooters. So creating designated parking zones, so you can't put them anywhere except for this zone that's been painted out. These are all things that if we were to do a pilot program, and one of the reasons that we are recommending a pilot program is really because we think it would be best, and what other communities have found worked the best, is it's really kind of a learning process. So you put a program into place, but a couple months may go by and you may realize that something's not working out, or you need more designated parking areas, or whatever it is. The pilot program offers us the opportunity to tweak and make those changes. It offers you the opportunity at the end of the program to say, you know what, this didn't work, or this worked if we do this a little bit differently, or we change how we reconsider how many scooters are out there or whatnot. That's what a pilot program provides, because we really don't know what the community would like. Again, one of your goals or one of your objectives is mobility options. So when we think about mobility options, we really think they call it the last mile. So if someone is driving, is going somewhere to work, they're getting on the smart bus, you drop them off at the station, but then they still have a ways to go to get home. So if there are scooters are another option. Especially you see it in downtown Detroit, obviously in large urban areas like that, where it provides you another opportunity to get to where you need to go, or that last mile. So you got off the smart bus and now you don't, instead of walking home, you have something that can get you there a little bit quicker.
There are a lot of senior citizens, and one thing I don't know, after 50, you lose 10% of balance a year. So what about the three-wheeled one?
Yeah, one of the questions we asked in the RFP was if they offer different mobility devices. I know we've seen out there the 3 wheels, for instance. So that's one of the reasons that's a question in there, is to see if there are a couple of companies, maybe some do offer them, maybe some don't, and that will all be considered when we are looking at who we would participate in this pilot program with.
Madam Mayor, I want to be there when you take one of these things for a spin.
Oh, we got pictures of me downtown. We got pictures.
Did I miss it already?
Benny has
You
video.
missed it already. Granny and I, Granny was out there.
You got videos, right?
I do, I got proof. So, you're waiting for a vote or questions? Questions, anyone?
Madam Mayor, I do have a question.
Yes, please, Mayor Fortem.
The Parks and Rec Commission noticed this a couple weeks ago, noticed that this was an idea that the city had, and somebody made a motion to reject it, to reject the idea of these scooters, and it was unanimously passed. Now, I understand the Parks and Rec is just an advisory commission, but their perspective is that, this is a walking city. We're not really a big city. I've ridden these scooters. I think they're great. They're awesome in big cities, where you really do need them to get around. I've seen how they function. People just dump them wherever, so they block sidewalks. We do want to promote walking in Oak Park. It is a walking city. So I also have problems with this idea of bringing them here. I don't know why we would. They're cool, but is it really serving a purpose? And is it going to defeat the goal of making this a comfortable, walkable city? The Parks and Rec Commission believes so. I do too. So I would vote against this.
Can you speak to that?
Yeah, I can tell you just internally, as we've had these discussions, there are definitely pros and cons, which is why we are coming forward today with a pilot program and not a suggestion to just put an RFP out there. There are I guess internally, and city manager may want to speak to this a little bit too, but internally, we couldn't say one way or another if it was good or bad for the community, and we wanted to find out, and we thought the best way to do that was to do a pilot program, to really see if the community needed it, if the community wanted it, if they liked it while they were here, or if they hated it. And so that's why we're coming forward with a pilot program. I agree there are pros and cons both ways. For us internally, we wanted to make sure we provide council with all of the mobility options that are possible right now, and this is one of them. So we thought we'd bring it forward and see how you guys felt about it.
And is staff generally in favor?
I think staff is in favor of seeing how it works. So we've had conversations with public safety. So it's not just, we've had conversations throughout. We sat down with public safety for a while. Kim's office and I have been really kind of leading this and leading these discussions, and also with the city attorneys. But I think ultimately, I would say our consensus is we're not sure, and that's why the pilot program suggestion is coming forward versus us saying we think this is a great idea, we think we should do it for sure, and implement it. That's the pilot program thought. Kind of similar to the chickens earlier, where we were like, this. Good idea, bad idea. We're not completely sure, but this is a way to find out.
I foresee a lot of accidents, but
Have other cities experienced a lot of accidents? Using the scooters?
Yeah, we've spoken with a couple of communities, including Grand Rapids. Kim and I have been working on this together, and she had reached out to Grand Rapids. At the time, no. There have not been. Now, they've only had the pilot program in place they were in their year, right?
They did it for a year, they only had 2 accidents that they reported.
For anyone who can't hear that, Kim said they had 2 accidents that they had reported.
2 accidents in a year?
Yes.
Probably more bike accidents than that.
Councilmember Burns.
How much would the pilot program cost the city?
Nothing.
Nothing? Well, sometimes there's always some cost involved.
Well, the price is right.
Well, sometimes there's cost involved.
You're right, I just assumed it was nothing, but.
You know, well,
Good thing we
sometimes,
clarified that.
yeah.
Free? So, other feelings on council? What are you thinking?
I like it, I think we should do it.
Okay.
I have one more question, though. So it says here that helmets are going to be required. How do you enforce that?
Enforcing those types of things is difficult, and these are conversations, again, that we've had with Director Cooper. One of the things I can say is what we're looking for in this RFP is also kind of a fact-finding mission. So we're trying to we're hoping that the responses come from, as you'll see, we ask for 3 references. So for any company who responds, assumingly they already exist in several different communities. How do they exist there? What's working, what's not? That then gives us the opportunity to look at those references, and Kim and I can make those phone calls to those communities and ask them questions like this. So the RFP process itself is even pretty exploratory for us. So then we would, the idea is during this time, we will, there will be a survey out to the community. We'll have an open house. We will hear about the community's concerns. We will also have time to review the proposals that we assumingly will receive. Reach out to the references that they have and see what's worked and what hasn't in those communities. Sit down with our city attorneys who have been already very involved in this, and our public safety director, and then bring forward to you a pilot program agreement. So this is just kind of the first step. We're saying, do you want us to entertain this? Do you want us to put this RFP out? Then we would come forward. If you approved this, we would come forward after the proposals have been received, after we've taken a look internally at the responses that we've received, and then we would have a pilot agreement to put in front of you that would look at, we can talk more specifically to some of those things. Some of the things like how are we going to hold them accountable for scooters that have been left in the right of way, and helmets and enforcing, et cetera.
So I'm trying to think of like who would be using this to do what and to go where. Do you have any examples? Like would I take a bike down to the Tiger game and then take a bike back and take a scooter home, and,
I mean,
what,
you could, you could. I know Director Maroney may be able to speak to, she's had some conversations with business owners, and I don't want to misspeak, so tell me if I'm, that some of the issues that some of their employees have is just getting to and from work. And so I'll reiterate, if you're taking the smart bus and you're getting off, the stations are not right in front of your house, right? So it takes you to your place. That's the extra that can take you to your place of work. It's also something that you could take if you lived around here, you picked it up, you rode it over to Ernie's or Berkeley Coffee when they reopen, or Dog and Pony Show, things like that. You can use it instead of, just like the bikes, you can use it instead of walking or using your car. We reached out to the communities around us and asked them if they were entertaining similar. And we've had, actually, the city of Royal Oak wants to know, they're kind of watching to see what we do and thinking about doing something similar. So if that were to happen, just like MOGO, it opens up the ability to take a scooter from one community to another. Or again, if you wanted to leisurely, just want to zip around town on it. But it really is supposed to be a mobility device. So you want to get from A to B, you don't have a car, or maybe you don't want to pay the $4 for gas at this time, and you want to get somewhere quickly.
discussion?
I can tell you that I've used these things all over the country, and I love them.
Why?
And-
Explain
well,
how you
I'll
use
give you an
them.
example. I was one time in San Antonio, and I had to do some depositions. I was staying at a hotel, and I grabbed my laptop bag, and I was gonna go down, and parking's a nightmare in a lot of big cities. And I had parked, and it was gonna be, I don't know, $30, $40, $50 just to take the car out of the lot. Go park somewhere else, a mile away.
Yeah.
Bring it back, deal with it again the next day. So I was just gonna Uber and just leave the car in the lot. I walked down, and I see a bird or whatever it was. And I just jumped on that thing, suit and tie, laptop bag, and just scooted over to my deposition. It was great.
Well, you had to
It was easy.
download the app first.
Yeah, I downloaded
Right.
the app. The whole thing took 2-3 minutes.
And it's-
Download the app, get a credit card on it, click it, and you're riding. In fact, I just, yeah, Lord, I did the Waze on my phone to get there. It was like driving a motorcycle, but on this little, felt like a kid. It was pretty fun. But I've done that in many cities, and I think they're great. I do it downtown Detroit all the time.
Now, would you do it in a residential city?
I don't know if it would work here. It seems like there's less getting around from place to place. Like if I have to get from my house to City Hall, I could see a lot of people wanting them at City Hall, but then there's gonna be everybody's house where it's gonna end up there, right?
But
As
then
opposed
it's up to
being
the
from-
company who has a certain amount of time to get those suckers back.
Right, so typically, like for example, downtown, you can only take it on certain blocks. There are entire areas you can't take it to, or it'll turn off. I know that. You're just driving and suddenly it stops. And it'll say you're out of the area. So I don't know how they're gonna do that in a residential city. I'm curious to see how it'll work. I think it could potentially be great. But it could also potentially be a total disaster for the company. So this may not work. I think as a pilot, I think it's great. I'm all for it. Let's give it a shot.
It doesn't cost us, it might cost them.
It doesn't cost us anything, and let's see how it goes.
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
That's my approach.
Well, I obviously, council members, this is your decision to make, but, I think as Crystal correctly mentioned, this is putting our toe in the water to kind of see what's going on. But I would like to say this, we took the same approach when we were discussing having the MOGO bikes located here in Oak Park, and I was tenuous myself, and one of the things that was very surprising to me was that of the, I think, 5 suburban communities that have MOGO, two of Oak Park's stations are the top 2 in the entire suburban area for ridership of the MOGO bikes. And if that's any indication of what kind of usage we might see out of this, then I think it bodes pretty well for us. But, transit doesn't just mean a bus and a, light rail line. It means many different things. And, scooters and bikes might serve a different group of people than some other modes of transportation. But again, I think this positions us well for, especially in the fact that we might be looking at building a comprehensive citywide, trail system, let's say, where this kind of thing could be ridden. not to mention for work or other leisure activities. But if we have problems, we'll address them, we'll deal with them. It may be likely that we'd be back here saying that this isn't gonna work here. But this at least gives us an opportunity to see if it does or not.
So there's no downside to trying it?
Is that a question?
Yeah.
I think that is a subjective. It depends on who you talk to. Some people may hate them and think that it's a downside, just that they're here. But to city manager's point, this is we're not sure
Who would like to use them? And we were surprised that the biggest users of MOGO were in Oak Park.
Yes, that's true. That's true. And just to reiterate, we're going to prioritize public engagement throughout this whole process. So if you were to approve the RFP, for instance, tonight, we already have a survey that's ready to go out to the community that we would be putting out everywhere, because we want to gauge their feelings throughout the entire process. And we would be doing an open house in April, which would be both informative and also an opportunity for us to hear their concerns, their questions, and whatnot. So this is absolutely a process or a time where we're not exactly sure if it's going to work or not. So we're kind of putting it out to the community. That's our suggestion. Put it out to the community and see how they feel about it.
And no disrespect to the Recreation Board, because we need you, to advise us, and we also have our staff to advise us. And you watch like hawks during this program and see if what your concerns are, are there, and you say, see, that's what I told you about, and then we don't continue the program. So I'm in favor of giving it a shot.
Madam Mayor, may I just throw my 2 cents in?
Yes,
I
please.
kind of had the same experience as Councilman Solomon. I was in California one time for the first time ever in California. Just hopped on it. I liked it so much that when I got back from the vacation, I brought my own. So I really think it's a demographic that it appeals to. Like, if you want to go to the Water Tower District, I think it would be something that's great to have, like on a nice summer day, for a certain type of age group possibly. But yeah, so that's my 2 cents. But
Right.
And it's not legal to drive these things drunk,
Okay.
right? That would be considered drunk driving, I believe.
That's correct.
Drunk scooting.
Okay,
A bicycle
yes.
too, by the way.
Yeah, it would be considered drunk driving if you're above the limit and you're driving
that
one of those
true?
things.
You talking to an attorney?
Maybe I'm wrong.
and Councilman Solomon, I said drive to there with the bike and still leave it parked.
No, I'm just afraid of what people may hear when you say that, that's all.
Oh, I got you.
And
Yep, absolutely.
Councilmember Whitehead was campaigning door to door using one.
It's true. That is true.
Very handy for that, I must say.
They're efficient, so I like them. So I think as a pilot program, it's not really a bad idea. It's not like we're making it a permanent decision. It's kind of like the chickens. There might be some people that want scooters, so.
All right. So if we're ready to vote, I think we have a motion and a second. City Manager? Yeah, yes?
We do.
So we'll roll call this one.
Okay. Councilmember Whitehead.
Yes.
Councilmember Burns.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Edgar.
No.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes.
Councilmember Radner.
Yes.
Okay. 4-1, and we are seriously considering your concerns. If it's a mess, we don't want it either. And if it's, we'll try it and see. So this passed, and we will love to hear what you think.
One more, yep. Council members, we've brought you dogs, chickens, and scooters, and now we're going to do carnivals. So, Director Stasiak, could you help us with the carnival?
Oak Park is where you have
This
some
is
fun.
Exciting.
It's been 3 years since our last summer event.
Gosh.
That was a single-day Saturday event back in 2019. In 2020, I shared with you the recreation Sorry about that. In 2020, I shared with you the Recreation Department's plan for a 3-day event. But with COVID, we had to cancel all of our community events. So this year, the Recreation Department would again like to present the signature 3-day Summer Blast event, one that residents would look forward to each year and would help make Oak Park a destination for neighboring communities. This would be a 3-day event beginning Friday, June 17th through Sunday, June 19th.
Oh, can you go back to showing us those 3 dates again?
Sure.
It doesn't want to go back.
Uh,
Never mind, we'll find
Okay.
them another way.
Did you want to know the dates?
Yes,
June 17th,
5 to 11, June
June
18th.
18th, which is a Saturday, from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. And Sunday, June 19th, from noon to 6.
From noon to 6.
Correct.
Got it, thank you.
The proposed attractions include a carnival with assorted rides for children through adult, a Midway with, that features games and concession, a mini pub with beer and wine sales. There's an entertainment area with the stage, live bands, and DJs. We are hosting the 10th Annual Barbecue Battle. That's partnering with Oakland County Parks on Saturday, June 18th from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. And we will be adding additional added value and amenities to be determined. The area we are proposing to hold Summer Blast is to the west of the community center. It's in the parking lot, the grassy area by the tennis courts. We're using the tennis courts, and we will also use the softball field located there. The area of the parking lot by the ice arena will be for the Skurbeck housing trailers and for some of their trucks. The carnival company we chose is Skurbeck Family Carnival. They have a long history in the amusement industry business. It has been family-owned for over 6 generations. They started back in the 1850s. We chose them primarily for 2 reasons. Number 1, they have a strong history and reputation for providing successful carnivals and festivals throughout the state, and is the sole provider for over 26 different festivals. They're the provider for some of the smaller festivals, such as Berkeley Days, Lapeer Days, and Richmond Good Old Days. Also, they are the provider for some of the larger festivals, such as the Grand Haven Coast Guard Festival, the Bay City Fireworks Festival, and the Grosse Ile Island Days. The other reason for our selection is that they focus on safety and customer service. They have consistent equipment inspections and employee trainings. Their concessions are certified. They respect and courtesy are at a priority for guests, and they have an on-site customer service office. Also, they will pick up and remove the garbage from the Midway. To offset our costs for Summer Blast, additional funding would include seeking sponsorships for the entertainment, the DJs, the infrastructure such as the porta potties, security, and marketing services. And we are confident in our ability to do that because, number 1, it's a 3-day event, and it gives sponsors the opportunity for a lot of visibility. And number 2, it's based on our track record of holding other successful community special events. Other funding sources include revenue from beer and wine sales, concession vendor fees, and a percentage of the carnival proceeds. The way they work this is that there is a percentage from the proceeds are awarded back to Oak Park from wristband sales and concession space fees. For our contract, Skurbeck will award Oak Park 20% of their revenues up to $50,000. Should they exceed $50,000 in revenue, the award percentage goes up to 25% back to Oak Park. Our intention is to make this 3-day Summer Blast something that our Oak Park residents will be proud of, that it'll be a tradition, and they will look forward to each year. With that, before you is a request that City Council approve the contract with Skurbeck Family Carnival, Inc. for riding devices, Midway shows, and food and games concessions at the Summer Blast event on June 17th through June 19th, 2022.
Is there a motion to approve this contract?
So moved.
Thank you, Congressman, Councilmember Whitehead. I just put you into Washington. And Councilmember, thank you. We've been talking too long. Any questions about the event or?
Madam Mayor, just one question for Director Stazak. Is this the same company from last year, or is this a different, that we had when we had to postpone or cancel?
From 2 years ago, yes.
From 2 years ago?
And from last year,
Okay,
correct.
perfect. I like them a lot. Thank you.
Oh, good. They seem like a wonderful company. All right, ready to vote. Let's see, roll call, please.
Councilmember Burns.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Edgar.
Yes.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes,
Councilmember Radner.
Yes.
Councilmember Whitehead.
Yes.
motion carried. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, members of council, that completes the city manager report for this evening. Thank you.
Already.
This, you got your money's worth with this meeting. This was a heck of a meeting. We are in the middle of Black History Month. It is a testament to Black leadership and contributions to our city, county, state, and country. Nothing is perfect, and certainly to celebrate, I think we ought to get out and protect our right to vote, which is under attack. It's kind of an Alice in Wonderland moment when we have to protect our right to teach facts to children. I would like to commend DPW for the condition of the streets during 2 snowstorms and public safety. I know they do not like writing tickets, but we are serious about clearing the streets so that we can make them safe for emergency vehicles. So please, if there is a snow emergency, knock on your neighbor's door and tell them, don't get that $100 ticket, please move your car. Eddie's Gourmet was in the news. We're really happy for them. They've been an Oak Park staple for a long time. Looks like a diner, but you can get a gourmet meal there. Soup to nuts, practically. We talked about COVID declining. There's another variant on the horizon, and I think that's the name of the game from now on. We want to avoid getting COVID and getting any of the long-haul COVID consequences. So, as I said before, continue to be careful. The 9-mile linear park is getting amazing landscaping that we talked about last time we had the meeting. It is going to be absolutely beautiful. To the credit of our staff, 100% of the former Armory property is being developed. That slider place and the, really industrial kind of complex that's coming are filling out the entire thing. That was 10 years in the coming. It looked like it would never happen, and it's done. Another thing to check off the list. Superintendent Hitchcock from the Oak Park School District is not renewing her contract, so the district is in active search mode underway right now. What happens to the district is important to all residents because it affects our value of our homes and where kids go to school. So take an active interest in who is the director and find someone who's great with staff. We are heading into budget reports. Fund balance is up. Our credit rating is up. It's much more fun to give you good news than bad news. And when I started, it was all bad news, and now it is all good news. Knock on wood. Whatever.
Because we have an amazing mayor.
Yeah, that too, right. And council, for sure. Your check's in the mail, Solomon. 120 cities in Michigan qualify for a neighborhood enterprise zone, and we qualified, so we are looking for places that would be effective to put this option. It's a tax incentive to encourage the development of housing. And we need varied housing. If you're out of your house and you're looking for someplace and you'd like to stay in the city, we need to develop more of those kinds of places. So that's the end of my good news report, and we're on to Mayor Pro Tem Julie Edgar. Oh, call to the audience. Thank you so much. I was skipping you because I just cannot stop blabbing tonight. Anyone in the audience would like to come and have a bit to say, or are you just here to listen? All right, thank you. Mayor Pro Tem, thanks for the tip.
Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. And another shout out to the Dog Park Committee and members of Parks and Rec who came out tonight. Great presentation, Andrew, our chair. Yeah, I mean, through the commitment of this group, we are going to make this park happen. And we got it well under deadline. And I also wanted to mention that Ken Sherman, sitting out there, of Jerome Street, he has offered us a donation for the dog park. We are considering a bench or some way of memorializing his beloved and late dog, Dusty. So I want to thank Ken again for the generous offer. It's going to really help the park take shape and hopefully inspire other people to donate. I think it does have that buzz that Andrew mentioned. Also, Smith Group did come before Parks and Rec, and they showed us, they gave us an idea of how they're going to update our master plan, what the plans are to study our parks, and we're very excited about this. We think that this is just, more evidence that Oak Park is moving in the right direction. I also wanted to just mention that our communications have been so much better since Courtney Flynn got here. She's really turned things around. I love reading about Oak Park every day. We have a strong social media presence now, and everything too, I think is grammatically clean, which I appreciate as a writer. So I wanted to thank Courtney, and I'm so glad that she joined the city. And that's about it. So thanks again for coming out.
Councilman Radner.
Good night, everyone.
Councilmember Burns.
Thank you, everyone, for coming out. Please be safe. And kudos to our public service department, because when we did have the snow, my street was cleaned off very quickly. I never have an issue with our snow. I'm always bragging about, I see where our tax dollars, how they're being spent. You never have any issues with our trash, with the snow being plowed, at least in my area, and I haven't had anyone approach me. So kudos to them, and thank you for coming out, and have a good night.
Councilmember Whitehead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll be brief. We got a lot of great work done tonight. We made 3 new appointments at our special meeting for our boards and commissions, 3 talented people, great interviews. Want to thank Congresswoman Haley Stevens for coming out to our meeting as well tonight. I want to give one extra shout out to as well to Assistant City Manager Yee on his Employee of the Year. We really appreciate you. Black History Month, I want to remind everyone of that. And then the last thing is there was a great dynamic strategic plan report by Director Van Fleck, and I just wrote down a couple of the highlights: the new art, new parks, 22 new businesses, new trees being planted, Juneteenth film festivals, resident service coordinator, master plan on the recreation assessment. So just so many things to be proud about to be an Oak Parker. So everybody have a great night. Thank you.
Thank you. There being no further business to come before this council, this meeting is adjourned. Thanks for coming.